All right, so I want to make this interactive, as I was talking about here. And so I surveyed, you guys a while back. Hey, what do you want to hear? I'm going to run some calls. What do you want to hear? And so one of the topics that came up, and I know there's lots of thoughts on recruiting. I mean, we've always been in a recruiting war, whether unemployment's high or unemployment's low. We're in a business where we're always looking for studs. I've always compared our business to professional sports. Like, when do the Lakers ever stop talent scouting? Steven Garcia, you tell me, you're a big Mamba mentality guy. When do the Lakers stop recruiting?
Never.
Right. I mean, you're always looking for talent. I mean, I don't know how old the kid's got to be, but something tells me like when LeBron James was 12, maybe even younger, he probably had people showing up at games. I was coaching flag football last year, and I was surprised there were a few college scouts showing up at our flag football games, and these kids were seventh and eighth graders. So I'm telling my star guy, Braden Bross, I'm like, Braden, man, you got a bright future. These guys are here for you. They're looking at you, how you handling the pressure. But, sports and our company, and I really think all great organizations that are growing, you're always trying to be on the cutting edge of talent scouting. So I just want to give you guys a handful of nuggets and tips that I have found extremely useful over the years that I'm hoping you guys do too. And again, I want to make this as interactive as I can. So the first tip, if you haven't, if this isn't part of your vocabulary, I highly suggest it as part of your vocabulary. There are no sevens. So a person coming in for an interview, I mean, you're not going to get a 10 unless Jesus shows up in a preliminary interview. You're not going to get a 10, but you can get it. I mean, some 9.5 show up every now and then, like, oh, I love this guy. And you'll get some threes that'll show up. But if you have it in your vocab that there is no such thing as a seven, so seven's just off the table, that means this candidate that you're looking at, well, they're either an 8 or a 6, and you got to decide. You either push him in the 8s category or you push him or her into the 6s. And I think it's fair to say we're all looking to recruit 8s and 9s. But when I started adding that to my vocab, that there are no 7s, because I would invite back the 7s. Like, the guy, he's pretty good. Let me take a shot. When I stopped doing that and started defaulting most of the 7s into the 6s category, my recruiting pool got sharper. My leaders got more motivated. They were being introduced to sharper people in the business because I stopped bringing in quote unquote 7s. So there are no 7s, 8s, or 6s. Questions, thoughts on that? Not sure if you guys have heard that before, but that has been in our Kool-Aid for some time.
Never really heard it. Just I've always listened to what John Wiggins said about it, recruiting, and how if we're really in the development business, people who don't take risks on 5 or 6, depending on the size of your business and whatever, you can take a 6 and turn them into an 8 or 9. And he's like, so many people give up on, not recruiting those what could be more loyal people. Everyone's obviously got their own style. Have you found it just based on the size of the business, you might be able to take more of a half court shot, let's say, on a 6, right? Where when you're smaller, you're trying to be making the layups, and free throws and the easier shots where it's like, hey, I don't need to develop this person. They're kind of what I'm looking for. Have you seen any correlation there? Or anybody have any idea?
Well, I think sometimes we can be confused with, what the package looks like coming in. Because I think when John describes when he first came in at the age of 19, I mean, he had a ponytail. He says he had like a sweater on for the interview that because he had like a half a tie. I don't even know what a half a tie would look like, but he was covering up the tie. So on the outside, you'd probably say, oh, yeah, this John Wiggins guy, he's probably a 3 or 4. But I would imagine that if I met John at 19, based on how he thinks today, and I've known John for 25 years, John was a stud coming in. I mean, he was an all-in kind of guy when he came through the doors, I'm getting on a call tomorrow with, Pat Bet David. And so, I can't help but think of like how he's done in life. And he was one of those guys when I did his prelim, I'm like, he was just so ambitious. So regardless of what his resume said, because his resume wouldn't have been a 9 kind of resume,
Mm.
but based on how he talked and based on how he thought, the dude was a 9.5. Uh,
Mm.
it's not surprising he's successful. I didn't think he'd be as successful as he is now, of course. I mean, I don't, who would have guessed that? But I had no doubt in my mind that this dude's going to do something significant with his life. So again, just I think the lesson here is, hey, don't judge a guy just by his looks necessarily, or her looks, or what the appearance looks like. I'm looking more for, what's going on in their headspace. How are they looking at things? But Wiggins was an 8 or a 9 for sure when he came in. He wasn't a 4, 5, or 6. But I think too many people brush people off because they don't look the part. So they're like, okay. And they're judging a book by its cover, like a Tom
Mm.
Brady talent scout, like, oh, we're passing on him because he's slow and all these other reasons. But if somebody really would have done their inspection, this guy is a relentless Michael Jordan type of competitor. And that should have, he shouldn't have been drafted 199. But
Okay.
they
Well,
weren't looking at those intangibles. So let me keep going here. I want to blast through a few bullets, and I do have an exercise for you guys. But that's thought number one: no sevens. So to this day, so Bo, if I'm interviewing a 5, I'm not bringing the 5 back. I'm bringing in the 8s and 9s. I want the best of the best. Second point is, I have a recruiting goal. I've always had a recruiting goal that every day I just want to meet one person a day. So 5 days a week, I'm interviewing. I'm conducting my prelims, whether you're doing them through Zoom or face-to-face. I don't think it matters. But there's just one person a day that I want to meet where I'm like, oh, I love that person. Just one. I could interview 20 people in a day. 19 of them were like, okay. Or let's just say 10 were, okay. 3, and no dice. I've got a goal that once a day, I have this one person. I'm just like, this guy's a stud. I love this person. And sometimes they come in for the second. Sometimes they don't. Like sometimes I might turn them off, or, they're hard to recruit, whatever it may be. But I think there's some merit in, because I'm focused on that, because I'm thinking like that, call it the law of attraction, call it whatever you want. I end up getting that. So I'm looking for one a day that I can meet where I fall in love with the recruit. Okay. Recruiting goal. You can have a recruiting goal for volume and percentages, but I just kind of have a rough recruiting goal of just once a day, I want to fall in love. I'm not asking for too much. I just want to fall in love once a day. Okay. Third point. Maybe we'll come back to that recruiting goal in a second. Years ago, I go to a John Maxwell seminar. And of course, Maxwell seminars all on leadership, blah, 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 right? And at the end, he did a Q&A after an 8-hour seminar, did a Q&A. And I'll never forget this. The person in the crowd asked John a recruiting goal. Like, what are you looking for in your recruits, John? What makes a great recruit? And so John asked, he says, do you have a picture of the person you're looking to recruit? Well, I know the characteristics. He goes, no, I'm not talking characteristics. Do you, like, when this person comes in, do you have like a picture that's like, oh, like a missing person thing? Like, yeah, that's the person right there. Well, no, I haven't pinpointed that. He goes, I would do that if I were you. I'd have a picture of exactly what it is that you're looking for in a person. That really made me think, right? So here I am kind of like, I don't have a picture. And I remember saying, I'm like, okay, so if I had to profile, if I had to put a picture together, I don't know what it is about like East Coast people. I really loved recruiting East Coast people. So I remember saying to my recruiting team, I want Philly and Boston. Those 2 cities. I want Philly recruits. I want Boston recruits. Somewhere between the ages of 22 and 28, somewhere in that zone. I don't care boy, girl. I don't care black, white, but that's what I want. I want that East Coast person. I remember, and Helen, her and I joke about this. I was on a conference call. My assistant manager was doing an interview, or sorry, he was doing interviews. She comes in my important conference call with the recruit, sits him down in front of me and says, Jamie, you really have to meet this kid, Ben, here. Ben's the guy you're looking for. So I need you to get off that conference call and conduct the interview. And immediately I'm like upset with Helen. I'm like, I can't believe you just barged into my office and put this recruit down in front of me. And Ben ended up becoming an owner. Ben was the guy. He was the Philly kid I was looking for. So have a picture in mind of the person that you're looking to recruit, and there's a good chance you're going to find that person. Yeah, that was John Maxwell's advice. Have a picture. You can show your recruiting team the picture. I gave the picture of of this person I wanted. I even pinpointed the geography of where this person came from. Not that I was saying no to everybody else. They just happened to be my favorite recruits that were coming out of that part of the country. You can have your favorite colleges that you recruit from. USC used to be one of my favorite colleges in Orange. Obviously, Steve Reif, I see you. I mean, Chapman University was one of my favorite colleges to recruit people from in Orange County. Love Chapman. Just have a picture of the person that you're looking for. And then the last one, and this is my last point, and again, I'll let you guys chime in, and I'm hoping you guys have an answer to this, but if you had to narrow down the 3 characteristics of a stud, can you rattle it off? I mean, I'm on calls all the time with leaders and owners, and that question comes up a lot. Jamie, what are you looking for in your recruits? And I can rattle it off without thinking. It's part of my I've just been seeking these people for so long. Like, these are the 3 characteristics that I'm looking for. Do you guys have your 3? And if you don't, if you never really stopped and asked yourself that, well, this is where we're going to pause, and I want you to write it down. I want you to just think this through. What are the 3 characteristics that you get you're checking 3 boxes. I've got a winner. This person will be good in the field. This person will make a great leader. And this person has a super high chance of going the distance and becoming one of our newer owners. So before I rattle my 3, I want you guys to come up with your 3, and I'd like to hear some of you guys share your 3. Sean, it looks like you know who those or what those 3 characteristics are.
Yeah, when I'm doing prelims, I always go with those 3. So hungry kids, that's what I'm looking for. They had to have a reason. They had to be hungry. The second thing is energy. I'm looking for some solid energy during the interview. I have some great questions that I dig deep into it to see where the energy is at, or I just try to ask their story. And the last thing is I'm going for the looks too. Like, I need that good-looking candidates coming in. What you said earlier about like how Wiggins and everything, or Patrick Bet-David came in for the interview. So I get it, but I have a 3-round interview process. Like, even if they sound good and everything, I tell them like, hey, we have some sharp kids here, so make sure you put your full suit on and come to the second round interview. And they always surprise me. Sometimes even they look shitty in the prelim interview. The second one, they come in and they go buy the suit or something, and they come in like very sharp.
And so your 3 that you have, obviously these are your favorites that come in. I mean, some will check 2 boxes, and you're like, okay, I'm still going to bring that person in, but really I'm looking for the triple combo here. I'm assuming your recruiting team also is they understand what these 3 characteristics are.
Yeah, so I'm my own recruiter right now until I get my in-house recruiter, probably very soon, a couple of weeks. So it's kind of like easy to process it. But obviously, Nina is obviously my recruiting team too. So she kind of know the same 3 areas, and my senior leaders know the things I'm looking for.
Great. Great. Anybody else want to share their 3? Well, Mr. Garcia wrote it down. Why don't you verbally tell us?
Yeah, competitive, curious, and personable. Competitive. I really don't want to work with anybody that's not competitive, like plain and simple. And then curious, more student mentality than anything. I just like the word curiosity. Just sounds good to me. And then personable or likable. And there's some people that when you meet them, it's like that they just have a good energy about them where you could want to buy for them or you want to spend time with them or be around them. I'd say those are the main ones. I love hunger. That's definitely a big one for me too. And gratitude. I know we're doing three, but those are if I could find three better words that encapsulated those five things I mentioned, then those would be my top three. If you could help with that, I appreciate that.
That's great. Again, you're zeroing in on exactly who you want, and you'll get them when again, that was really Maxwell's point. Like if you know exactly who the person is, then there's no guesswork when you finally come across these people, then you go get them. Anybody else want to share? But I like what you guys are saying so far. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I just wanted to hear what you guys are
Yeah.
looking for.
I put clean cut. Like image is pretty important in the sales world. People will judge you instantly off of that, no matter what happens. And so as long as you're well put together. Two, I look for a positive attitude and good energy. Like you ask someone, hey, how's it going, Hep? And they're like, oh, I'm, hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's their first response to you, it's probably like, oh man, right? So I look for that. And then loyalty. So I always scope the resume. If they can't hold the job for longer than like 3 months, instantly I know that they can't hold it when it gets tough of some sort. They just hop. And that's not somebody I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. And so my three, just to share, my three, and again, I've changed it over the years. Hasn't always been, consistent. I just got to keep changing it as I mature and I observe and I experience. But I look for confidence. Okay, I want somebody who's got lots of confidence. Like, listen, I'm good and I know I'm good. Confidence. I want ambition. Somebody who's ambitious. Those people, again, or maybe hunger is another way, Sean, you brought that up, but I want somebody ambitious and I want somebody with character. In the long run, character wins. I believe that. So if those three indicators go off for me, I have found my winning recruit. When that person comes in who's got confidence, ambitious, now listen, I can pepper that in even to my interview. Right, as I'm talking to people in my interview, listen, I'm looking for somebody who's got confidence, ambition, and character. If they're nodding and they're like, dude, I'm your guy, look no further. You have just described me. Or some people like, yeah, and I just want a job, man. Like, I'm confident and I've got good character. My mom tells me I got good character, but I just want a job. I don't want to work more than 30 hours a week. Like, so again, you can throw your characteristics at people and they could gravitate and be magnetic towards that, or they could, be repulsive. They're like, obviously what you're looking for doesn't describe me, I'm out. So those are my 4 points I really wanted to make, and I wanted to open this up for dialogue, questions, discussion. But the name of the game here is for you guys to, find 1, 2 great people a week that you're hiring, onboarding. They do well, they stick around. I mean, we've had enough of these calls where we've had people like Justin Hageman get on and say, you know what, I've got more turnover in days 30 through 60 than I do days 0 through 30, which tells you Hageman has completely zeroed in on exactly who he's looking for. He's getting them. They do well coming out of the gates. He's kind of shopped them out. They've shopped his business out for a month, and then he makes a career decision going into month 2. So I think we all want to run businesses like that. So, how you recruit, who you recruit is going to be a great indicator of what kind of business you're running and whether your business is going to expand. So thoughts, comments, dialogue, where do you guys want to go? Go ahead, Mr. Reif. I'm not that digital.
Yeah, so I got a question for you on how you would actually use this, because you mentioned that you do make it part of your prelim or your first round interview, and then you're trying to either heat them up or repel them. But how exactly do you approach that without just laying it out like a list that somebody could just casually agree to?
Well, I'm looking for body language throughout the whole interview. I'm looking for how people react to everything that we're talking about. Like I want to get them to talk. I want to, so, tell me a little bit about yourself, Stephen. And so I just want to listen and let you talk. And so the way you talk, the way you tell your story, well, that's a good indicator for me on, are you confident? I'm looking for, again, that eye contact. What are you looking for in your career? That's a question that's kind of sizing up the ambition, what you want to do with your life. Character, I can point out things in the resume. So I'm not necessarily divulging that information at the beginning of the interview. It's more like after I've done my questions and they've talked, for every one word they'll say 20 words kind of thing. Like most of my interview is me listening and them talking. Again, my job is to size them up, bring the right ones into the business. Then at the end of all that, if I think I've got the right guy and I go through my characteristics and they're nodding, there's a bond happening. We're cut from the same cloth, Jamie, because really, you think about it, the characteristics you guys were describing, I think you guys are describing yourselves. You're looking for somebody a lot like you. You're aligned in your values. You're aligned in, what's important to you. And so if there's alignment and there's a bond, you've dramatically increased your chances of not only hiring this person, but this person coming in and giving it a really good shot. So again, it's more towards the end, Mr. Rife. Any other thoughts, questions?
What's your favorite question to reveal character?
Well, I'm really slow on sizing up somebody's character. Like in an interview, I don't feel like I've got that one pegged by any means. To me, character's more of a getting to know them. I'm working with them day after day, week after week, month after month. And then I'm sizing up character, kind of like dating. Like you're not going to size up somebody on a first date. It's going to take several to really, know what they're all about. But I think there are little tells, to their character as you're observing them. Right. Let's say you go to Subway for lunch, you're taking your new guy to the field. You both order water. They give you the little water cups and the guy fills it up with Coke. I mean, that's a little tell on character. Like you didn't pay for that. Like you asked for water and you filled it up with Coke. Like that might tell you something right there. I had a rep one time who found a wallet in the field and had like, I don't know, hundreds of dollars wallet. Like, and he's not even telling me, he's telling the story in at the end of the day. And I'm like, so what'd you do? He goes, no, I saw the driver's license. He says, I can't remember how he found the guy, but he found the guy, gave the guy the wallet and the cash. The guy that got his wallet back, like, hey, take the cash. Like, thank you for doing this. He refused to take the money. And I know the guy needed the money. Again, what does that tell me about the guy's character that he did that? So again, I think the character revealing thing is they're sort of caught, it's like it's caught, not taught, so to speak. I'm just looking for things where I can really, I don't know. I'm looking for things that I can really get sold on my people with, because I find when I'm more sold on them, I end up becoming a better coach for them. I become a better owner for them. Like I really want to get sold on my people. And if I'm convinced a guy has the right confidence, the right ambition, the right character, like quitting isn't even an option. I'm like, if they want to have that quitting conversation, I'm like, I'm sorry. I've had this convo before. I'm sorry, but you're going to become an owner. I've already earmarked you for ownership. So you got to follow through, but I'm not letting you quit. And they've stuck around after a weird conversation like that's kind of weird, I guess you could say. But when I get sold on something, man, I'm sold. So again, character, short answer to your question. I don't size it up, but I do, I see things on the resume like, oh, you went on a mission trip to Africa. Like, tell me about that. Like, why did you do that? And so you'll get a lot of good information on people just based on some of their experiences that they've done. I think there's power in getting sold on your recruits. I'm not indifferent. I'm not, because I know there's turnover and some owners develop this thick skin, this level of indifference. Listen, indifference is great to maintain your attitude in the field and be indifferent for the rejection and the no's, but there should really be no indifference with our people. Like if you're sold, you've vetted them out, you've done a first interview, a second interview, third interview, you've put a lot of time, energy, and money into getting the recruit. I'm not indifferent on my recruits. I want to see them win. So get sold on your people. And again, when you've got your 3 things you're looking for, you've got your picture you're looking for, I'm telling you, the more sold you get, the more conviction you have in your business, and your expectations of your people, are raised, and they will fulfill those expectations. Okay, so those are my thoughts on recruiting for you guys. Just kind of a recruiting at 30,000 feet. I'm not going to get into the details of Indeed and ad placement and all that other stuff. It's just more, talking to a group of owners on, how you're recruiting, what you're looking for. But really the takeaways here, no 7s. Okay, have a picture in mind of the person you're looking for, have the characteristics defined and share that with your recruiters. And I'm telling you, those people are going to come through the doors, and just have your goal of once a day you're falling in love, and let's see what happens. Do that from now till the end of the year, and let's see what happens with the new faces and the caliber of people that come through your doors. My bet is that you're going to find some superstars.
Thanks, Sept.
All right, you guys, nice to see you. I will talk to you guys soon.